everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing a process video with you. I'm documenting a prompt on what new things I'd like to try in my Felicity Jane 30-day journal challenge notebook. So the photo I have there is actually 4 smaller photos. The first 2 pictures on the top are of a weave and some geraniums. They're 2 things I've never done before that I'd like to try and make. And the bottom 2 photos are of sewing and crocheting, which are things I have done in the past, but it's been a very long time. So I'd like to get back into creating some sewn and crocheted projects again. So just catching up to speed with the video, at the moment I'm trimming down that pink paper to create a border strip. Because the page is about handmade items, I want to add some sewing and cotton and a bit of distressing to the page. So I'm going to stitch that border down with my sewing machine, and I'm going to pull the threads through to the back of the page, trim them down and secure them with some washi tape. Once that's done, we'll get back to the photo. So I'm going to layer my photo with some plain Felicity Jane papers. I have that beautiful yellow paper there that I'm using first. I'll attach my photo to that, trim it down, and then attach it to some really soft pale pink paper as well. Once that's attached and trimmed down, I'm just going to distress the edges ever so slightly using my fingers. Just ruffling them up and folding them over a little bit. Now I have a beautiful title for my page. It is a Felicity Jane chipboard word we got with one of the kits. It's the word create, which is perfect for what I'm documenting about. And it almost fits across the page perfectly. It's just a tad too big, so we'll trim that down. You won't lose any of the effect of the word. I have that felt ribbon that I want to use on the page. I have some chipboard hexagon pieces, a chipboard heart, a tag, and a little word banner as well. I try to make that ribbon work across the page, behind the tag, behind the photo, but I don't like the placement of it, and then I suddenly decide to cut a bit off and make a tab for my photo. So I'll fold that ribbon in half and attach it to the top of my photo using my tiny attacher, and I'm happy with that. So just pulling across some elements that I want to use, some stamps. I also have these 2 journaling tags I thought about using. That banner one had a pink banner which matched perfectly and said create you're happy, which really went well, but I just couldn't make it fit on the page. So I'm going to use that floral journaling card, and I'm just going to back my photo with it. To add a little bit of dimension, I'm going to put some fun foam between the other 2 plain paper layers and that floral layer. So I will attach all of that now, trim it down, and then I'll move on to that little chipboard tag. So I have a tiny little chipboard word banner that says wonderful. I think that was from the Heidi kit. And I'm just going to pop some fun foam behind that, and then using my Scotch liquid adhesive, attach that down and give it a little bit of time to dry while I continue to work on the page. So one thing I want to add to the page is some thread. I'm going to use some white cotton. It's a slightly thicker cotton, and I'm just going to bunch that behind the photo, and a little bit sticks out, not too much, but enough that you can see the thread. So I will use my glue. I'm actually going to change over and use my Tombow glue it's quite sticky, so I know that it will attach well to that thread and glue my photo down. Then I'm going to attach these hexagon chipboard pieces with some glue dots. But I've forgotten about the stamps that I want to use. So while I'm adding all this dimension to my page, in a moment you'll see me suddenly remember I wanted to do some stamping. Now I'm going to put that grey chipboard heart in the middle of the A in that word create. And I'm just about to glue down that word, and here we go with the stamps. So the bottom stamp on the bottom of the page, which says making plans, is okay. It's not too hard to stamp that. So I'll do that one first. And I'm just going to ink up my stamp and just stamp it off on some scrap paper to make sure that the impression is nice and solid. And then I'm moving on to the top of the page, which I stamp taking more time for. And this is a bit tricky because I have some dimension up there. So I'm going to flip my page upside down and move some of those elements out of the way slightly. Bit fiddly, but I get the stamp down and the impression's pretty good. So that is done. Now for some reason that liquid glue on that tag is just not drying, so you'll see me fiddle with it a bit and then I end up having to change that. I go to put some thread through and I realise that it's just not sticking real well. So I'm going to leave it for another moment while I attach my title. Get that centered. And I'm just going to hold that down because of the border strip with a clear acrylic block just to help weight it down a bit. But the block falls over and knocks that tag, which makes me realise that glue is just not drying. So I'll clean up that little bit of mess that was made, wipe down the tag, and I'm going to swap over to my Tombow glue for that. And that dries quickly, just like the Scotch glue, but the Tombow glue is a lot stickier. Okay, so just popping some tape down, sticky tape down, just to attach that banner and tag. I'll trim off that cotton thread, and that is my page almost done. So I'm going to just note in a dot format the 4 things that I'd like to try. And then you'll see in the end photos, I did go back and I found some little hexagon puffy stickers from one of the kits, and I couldn't resist putting them on top of the hexagon chipboard pieces. So thanks for watching. Here's some photos and I will see you again soon.